Good day. Today we are going to focus on the cost accounting. So they're saying give one term in each of the following. The first one, 1.1, salary of a factory foreman. So let's just focus on this word foreman. A foreman is someone who is a supervisor. So if there is a supervisor in a factory, that supervisor is not going to be directly involved in the production process because that supervisor would be supervising the employees that are working. So meaning that a salary of a factory foreman is an indirect labor. So therefore we regard it as a factory overhead cost. Then the bad debts, they fall under selling and distribution. Stationery and telephone expenses, these are the expenses of the office, they fall under administration. Wages paid to workers in the production process, this is the direct labor cost. Now let's go to 1.2. Calculate for the financial year direct material cost and direct labor cost. Let's go into it. Direct material. Let me see the answer sheet. This is the answer sheet, right? So I'm just going to draw a T account. So there's we can do some example. This is a raw material stock. T account. So what you need to remember about the raw material stock is that this is an asset account. So you can see they gave us the opening and the closing balance of the raw material stock. So let's go and write it. The opening is 23,400. So in asset, the opening balance is going to be on the debit side. So it's a balance brought down. Then we're going to have the balance carried down of how much? 38,700. Right? And then raw material for 342,600 was purchased on credit. So what happened here is that we bought the raw material on credit. So that is a CJ. The raw material is increasing. So let's go and increase this 342,600. 342,600. So it's going to be the creditors control. Just going to write it in short because of space. And then they made the raw material worth 15,700 was sent back to the creditors. Which journal is this one? This is a CAJ because we are returning the raw material back to the creditors. It's a CAJ. So when we are returning the raw material back to the creditors, what is going to happen to the raw material? The raw material is going to decrease, and it decreases on the credit side. So the account here is creditors control. And then cash purchases of the raw material. So we bought the raw material here for cash. So the raw material is increasing by 155,000. So we're going to write bank in here. Let's just open the bracket 155,000 because there's something that is also affecting the bank. Delivery cost on the purchases of the raw material. So the delivery cost of the raw material, you must also record them in the raw material stock. So there's 19,400. 155,000 plus 19,400. That's 174,400. So when we add all this up on the debit side, adding the debit side, it's going to be 540,000 540,400. So we need to know that how much is the direct material cost. Remember that the direct material cost, this is the raw material that is sent to the factory so that it can be used in the production process. So when that direct material is being sent to the factory, at that time the raw material stock decreases with the direct material. That is why we find it recorded on the credit side to show that it is decreasing. So in here we were told to calculate this direct material cost. So it is the missing figure here on the credit side. We just say 540 minus the 8 minus 15,700. That is going to be 486,000. So, but in here we were told to just show the calculations. So we have to show the calculations. 20,400 plus raw material that we bought plus plus 155,000 plus 19,400 then I'm going to subtract the whole credit side minus 15,700 minus 38,700. That is going to be 486,000. Then now we move to the direct labor cost. So for the direct labor cost, what did they say? They said we have got 4 workers. Number of hours worked 1,440 hours per. They meant here per worker, meaning that a worker worked 1,440 hours each worker. So this means that in total, since there are 4 workers, it's going to be 4 multiplied by 1,440. So in total, these workers worked 5,760 hours. And then they said normal time per contract. Yes, per contract. The contract is saying that each worker is supposed to work 40 hours per week, 45 weeks per year. Right? Then the normal time rate is saying 35 francs per hour. So meaning that a worker is paid 35 francs per hour. Right? Now let's see it. So now we know that in total these workers they worked this much, right? So we need to find out the amount times 35 francs. So in total this worker they got paid 201,600, right? And then there's the overtime. They are saying the business contribute 1% to the UF and 9% to the pension fund on behalf of all the employees. So let's calculate the UIF. So when we're calculating the contributions, we must calculate them on the basic, excluding the overtime. That is why we are not adding the overtime first. We just have to calculate the contributions on the basic. 201,600 plus 1 multiplied by 1%. That is going to be 2,000 and 16. 201,600 multiplied by 9%. That is going to be 18,144. So adding all of this is going to be given us plus 8,600 is going to be 245,000 260. Let's continue. And then we are told to do the work in process stock and the finished goods. So both these accounts, they are asset accounts. So the assets accounts, they increase on the debit side and they increase on the debit side and decrease on the credit side. So the work in process, they give us the opening and the closing. So the opening is on the 1st of March 2021. It must be debited. Now, talking about the work in process account, these are the semi-finished goods. These are goods that are still in the production. So that is why it is called work in process. So it's an asset, $45,000. And then we are given a closing balance on February 2022. So it's how much? 60,000. Right? Now, what else do we record on the debit side of the work in process? We record the direct material cost, direct labor cost, and the factory overhead cost. So the direct material cost, alright, we did calculate the direct labor, which is 255,060. And then we also did the direct material, which is 486,000. And then the factory overheads is given. Total factory overheads for the year, it is 273,340. 273,340. Right? The only missing figure here, it is the finished goods. So, like I said, the work in process, these are the semi-finished goods, right? So once the goods are finished, they are then sent to the finished goods account from the work in process. That is why you find the work in process decreasing with the account of the finished goods. So we need to find out that how much was sent from the work in process to the finished goods. So we can see that the debit side is big, but let's see how much is it. Let's see how much is it. So it is 1,060,000. So 1,060,000 minus 60,000 is going to be 1 million. So meaning that a 1 million was sent to the finished goods. So using a double end system, we know that if something is credited, it must also be debited. Back in process. So remember that the finished goods is also an asset. So your assets must have a debit balance. Debit balance here is 27,000, which is the opening balance. Balance brought down. This is on March 2021. And then we're also giving the closing balance, is a balance credit down on 28 February 2022. It's how much? Just 22,000. Now, once the goods are finished, they are sent from the work in process to the finished goods. So because they are now finished, then they must be sold. So if the goods are sold, then the finished goods will be decreasing. Decreasing with which account? With the account called the cost of sales. Alright, so this is the amount that you need to find. That how much was sold, because now the closing balance is 22,000. So you just have to equate both sides. So you can see the debit side is big, 1,027,000. So 1,027,000 minus 22,000. That is going to be 1,005,000. So remember, the closing balance must be sent to the opposite side at the beginning of the following. It's going to be 1st of March 2022. The balance brought down of 60,000. Opening balance of 22,000. Balance brought down. This is on the 1st of March 2022. So this is how you're supposed to do this.